connected. Yes, it is, and we are finally ready. 6 minutes later, I do apologize for that, but as in the aviation speak, we are ready for takeoff, and we are ready for takeoff in Tier 3 on this special occasion on a Wednesday evening, looking quite bleak around, but let's see, there's a situation where we are racing, which is Bahrain. Is it gonna be Bahrain or is it gonna be Bahrain? I'm not quite too sure. It's quite deserty around here, so I do believe for this day is gonna be Bahrain. But could Bahrain live up to its name? We've seen rain here before. It could happen, but we're ready for Tier 3. It's round 3. It's gonna start getting very serious around this moment of the season, and really have an outlook of what we are expecting to be the final standings for the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. So let's see what we will have, as we seem to have a pretty slow load into the lobby, but Thomas and Quell not ready enough. Yep, Thomas, yeah. Well, the beauty of commentating two races yesterday and the day before is that I already know all the track layouts, so that will be no problem at all. So let's see, who will be first to go out in Q1? We've got all 20 drivers, so that is absolutely spectacular. This provides for more action, the more the merrier, as Mary Poppins would like to say. And let's see, we have some action from the Red Bull garage, far down, of course, the fastest teams in F1, I do say, at the start of the pit lane, which does not give you an advantage if everyone wants to box, and of course the slowest adds are back. And MCL reckon switching between those into tyres. Quite interesting what they will do here. Go safe or go hard. Go hard as in, of course, go risky. So let's see, as we see some action from the Ferrari garages, like the driver going out on intermediate tyres. MCL reckon, is it? As they go out now, yes it is. MCL reckon going out on inter tyres. Haven't seen much of that yesterday or on Monday, but it is nice to see some mix up in the grid. And I was just checking the volume of the stream, but it all seems to be fine. Might just up the volume on the game, but it seems to be fine for now. Checking through. And we have the Red Bull of, who is it? Is it Dizzy Steel? Yes it is. They're going around the difficult bend of turn 13. And of course, keeping it within track limits is hard through there. You don't want to be too fast on the exit. You really got to measure your acceleration, as in most parts of the Bahrain circuit. Right, here we go. Starting their lap, and I'll take you through it as they cross the checkered line to start. And what will it be? Most people opting to stay in the pit lane for now. Around turn 1, it's very difficult. You gotta get your line right, and have they just gone too much to the inside and really losing control and grip of their car on the exit of turn 2. But what do they do as they approach? I believe that is turn 4. Yes it is. You want to take the most inside you can, and right on the acceleration is what they done. And it's looking good for the Red Bull driver through sector 1 as they lose it at the exit of turn 6. And how that lost some time, I'm not quite too sure, but I think it's lost some time. And let's see what they could do in the remainder of their lap as they look to get an amazing exit from turn 10 in fact. And that has really rescued them. And now what could they do as they go through turn 11, trying to kiss that inside curb and really go as wide out as you can, and then going back to the inside for turn 13. And it seems to be nice from the Red Bull driver. really seems to be calm on the acceleration, really seems to have got a lot of grip now down in Sector 2 and 3, unlike Sector 1. So let's see what they could do now as they go across the line, start in the main straight. And it will be, for the Red Bull driver, it's a pretty nice time of a 1:29.8. Again, you do expect to be seen faster times in Q2 and Q3, but as a starter time in the Q1 session, that is not the worst time. But could the Alfa Romeo behind of Puffy Boy Mazda as they start their flying lap? Who is behind that? Is it Mies? Are they on the outlap? Yes they are, because they're starting the flying lap now. Looks like we have yellow flags through Sector 3 now. And we have Star now grabbing that P1 spot from Dizzy Steele with a 1:29.7. We're seeing improvements, and could the Ferrari of Curtis keep that going? Was flying yep, yes it was, and that is pretty poor from the Ferrari to only set a 1:30.4. They must have had a moment, since that is not a very competitive lap time. And now I believe that is the Alpine and Red Bull going across the line next. What could they do? Quell up to P3, the Red Bull up to P5, and that is not the best lap time from the Red Bull driver. And they'll be wanting to improve as Dizzy Steele. They are going into pit lane now after setting a 1:29.8. And who is going to cross the line next? It is Patty Boy. What do they do as they go across the line? It's not looking great. It's only up to P3, a 1:30.2. Really seeing some poor lap times from everyone here. You do expect it to be way better than this going into Q2, but for now it seems fine. And anyway, now the McLaren goes across the line. It doesn't seem to be that fast on those medium tyres. You do expect them to be setting another lap on soft tyres after this, but Shiny on the inter tyres. They've completed their warm-up lap time really. And let's see, as Star still staying on the top, you do expect it to be quite faster than this, but for now it's going slowly. And we've still got all 20 drivers in it, and I believe we've only got 10 minutes left as it's blinked on top of the yellow flag warnings. As we have Jess, I believe that was, yes it was Jesse, put into Williams up to P3. It seems to be good compared to all the other lap times, but again, you do expect it to be in the really high 1:28 for that Q1 time really. I saw low 1:29s yesterday in tier 2, of course it is tier 3 today, so you do expect similar lap times, but for now, really not the case. The Alfa Romeo, is that energy beam? Yes it is. What did they do in that Alfa Romeo? Only up to P7 on a push lap. And that is pretty poor showings. Now I believe, is that a train into turn 14? Yes it is. The McLaren slowing down, and the Mercedes, what are they doing? I believe they're going into pit lane. Really got in the way of Bastard Jr., but could they go unrivaled to all of that? And up to P3, yes they do, are 1:29.9. And is that the cutoff time for survival into Q2? It seems pretty high actually. well, high or low, whatever you want it to be. However you want to phrase it. But above it now, into Aston Martin, only up to P12, and that was a push lap, so they must have had a moment, because that is very poor. But Tomo's on the medium tyres. You don't expect much from those mediums now, but up to P15. Oof. With a 130.7. Ritz now into McLaren. They're starting their lap, I believe, full ERS, and now unleashing that ERS down the main straight into turn 1. It's very long here in Bahrain, and let's see what they could do as they floss past the speed of 205 miles per hour. It seems to be nice through turn 1 so far, keeping it very clean, I must say. Very modest-like from the McLaren. As we see that Alfa Romeo, I believe that is, going into pit lane. Yes, they are. Really riding that curb on turn 4 for the McLaren, and you do not want to be doing that ideally. 6.8 seconds up on their lap time. Their first lap time does seem to be quite poor, and it wasn't a push lap, so you do want improvements, and the McLaren is finding improvements, but improvements enough. Let's see as they go around the very tricky turn 10, but nicely handled from the McLaren. Now, starting the back straight here in Bahrain, not looking so impressive through Sector 1, but could they prove that wrong through Sector 2? Let's see, as we have yellow flags being shown just ahead for a slow Aston Martin. 18 seconds up, not setting purple lap times, which is what you have to go by. Will it be good enough for the McLaren? They're going to have to provide something special through turn 14 and 15. And really clean through there. Keeping grip of their car, and now they go across the line. And up to P7 for the McLaren. It's a nice enough lap time. And we have the AlphaTauri, who is that, I believe it is Morecambe on those medium tyres. That is a new set of mediums, interestingly. So what are they trying to do here? Is this a flying lap? Yes, it is. Could they set it a good? Yes, it seems to be up to P15, and that is quite impressive on medium tyres, above some of those soft tyre runners like Click's will. And not those soft tyres for the AlphaTauri driver, but mediums, and it does seem to be good. P15, that is survival for the moment, but of course you do expect that cut-off time to be around the 130 now instead. And I believe everyone knows that, as Connor Ottman now setting the fastest Sector 2 time now. Connor, they need a good turn 14 and 15 to get a good exit and release cross the checkered line, and really mounting the curb for turn 15. It does slow you down, and it has slowed Connor down, as they're on the up to P4 with a 129.9, and they will be wanting to go into pit lane on a new set of soft tyres, since you do expect the cut-off time to be around the times Aston Martin drivers set. And now's Aston Martin off Connor on an invalidated lap time. They're looking to come into pit lane, but we've got the Mercedes of Shiny Rolex. They are improving and finding improvements through Sector 2 and 1. What could it be for the Mercedes? Only up to P8 with a 130.3. And will they have enough time to set another lap time? The Haas, Aston Martin and Ferrari now across the line to start their flying laps. And I believe Bubin in Aston Martin was on a flying lap, and they seem to have got a bit messed up through turn 3, and that has slowed them down as they are slow by 4/10 in the first section. I believe they'll be looking to back that lap off, but they are going interestingly, and yes, they have backed off now. Have they? No, they haven't. They're still going, and seems quite pointless. But up ahead we have the McLaren, and it is F1 Rise. They need to have an improvement as they are currently in the drop zone, but they do look to be improving, but really losing it through turn 15 and 14, and they seem to have just lost it on the exit. They were improving by around 6/10 so through the first and second sector, but losing it through turn 15, and now going into the pit lane. They're going to be fast going out. They're going to have to be at least. As we see the Haas now. Who is that? Is that Tomos? Yes, it is. Going across the line to go with the fastest lap of Q1. It's lovely from Tomos to make it a Haas 1-2 in Q1. And that is a lovely time of a 1:29.6. Finally seeing improvements. And now the Mercedes, who is it? Is it Dark to start their flying lap? They're going to need to find some crucial tenths of a second here in this very closely tied Q1 session, as we only have a remainder of about 2 minutes in the session. As we see most drivers now in the pit lane, but a lot will be hoping to come out quite shortly. And we have now, who is it starting their flying lap? Caught in a bit of traffic, it is Dark. And you have the Ferrari ahead, really having to mind out of the way and skip the chicane of turn 10. But now Dark, they're looking to find an improvement on their, what seems to be the last flying lap for them. And let's see what they could do. Through sector 2 they go now. What could it be for the Mercedes driver? It's fastest purple in sector 2, and they're going to have to find an improvement now as Mies cross the line up to P3 for the Williams. Everyone seems to be improving, and some people opting to stay in the pit lane. The top 7 in the pit, and Dark now needing improvements. And has he got those improvements? Up to P15 only for the Mercedes driver, staying in P15. And that is very disappointing. And they're going to have to mind out of the way of the McLaren behind. Now a lot of people on the outlap. And now Rubin needs to find an improvement. And have they got it through sector 2? They're going nicely around turn 8 now. And was it a bit too spinny at the X of turn 8, as clicks will only up to P14? That doesn't seem to be good enough from the Red Bull drivers. Now is the F1 Rise to cross the line? They haven't been setting great lap times, but is that about to change? Yes, it is, as they're up to P13 with a 1:30.3, a much needed improvement. but quickly down to P14 now, and was that Energy Beam putting in a 130.0, and now it's AlphaTauri of, is it Morecambe? Yes, I believe it is. Up to, what was that? Up to P9 from the AlphaTauri of Morecambe. That seems to be a good lap time so far, as we have the Alpine across the final line, and the Alpine of Quell up to P2 with a 129.7, but Shiny Rolex is going nicely through Sector 2, and could they keep it the same in Sector 3 as the McLaren of, who is that? Is a Ritz across the line now, not setting a great lap time, and Shiny up to P7, and that is the final lap times being done in Q1, and it seems F1 Rise at the last moment knocked down to P16, and that is not great from the McLaren driver. And Clickswill, Katie Dark, and Bubin and Curtis also join the McLaren driver, and they will not be making an appearance in Q2, so very unfortunate for them. And MCL Reckon barely making it through. It's about a half a tenth in that between P15 and 16, so nearly making it a double Ferrari outing in Q1, but they both, well, one of them lives to Q2. And we have Tomos in the Haas, topping the Q1 session with a 129.6, considerably ahead of the rest of the grid. And Quell alongside the Haas driver, as well as Star in the other Haas, a 129.7, so they seem to be going nicely. And we have the start of the Q2 session now. We have 15 minutes in it, and we already see movement from the Mercedes garage. Which one is it who is going out? It is Shiny Rolex, of course. And you do hope to see improvements compared to like Q1 time that was set. I believe it was a 130, which was the cutoff, a 130.2. And you do hope to see a considerable improvement from that. We've got 15 drivers in it. Anyone could be eliminated if they don't set a clean lap time, so let's see any big disappointments going out. And we have the Mercedes, who was first to go out. Shiny Rolex leading the pack. and they are on a new set of soft tyres, no silly business in P2, everyone wanting to get through. And let's see what Shiny Rolex could do. Is that a new set? I guess we'll find out, considering the lap time. And some people going out on mediums, me's been one of them, and they're going to be the first ones to slowly set their medium lap time, and they don't look to really get through on it, just as a bank lap really. The mediums of course been about 5/10 off the pace of the soft tyres, so you know, that is a big loss in time compared to the soft tyres, so of course you don't be expecting to set such a good lap on the mediums, I believe. Yes, compared to softs, but you never know. And as we see Shiny Rolex going through Sector 2 quite nicely, they'll have more grip than those mediums on the soft tyres. And could it be impressive? Not really from the second sector, and you don't expect to be seeing best lap times being put around now. And as we see, me is now slightly topping that time from the Mercedes driver with a 1:30.4. Still nowhere compared to those Q1 times we saw topping the session, as we have 12 putting in a 1:30.1, which was slightly topped by Dizzy Steele with a 1:29.4 on those medium tyres. That seems to be a flying lap on what are medium tyres, and if those were on softs, we might have just seen a 1:28, the first one of the session. Star nearly tops Dizzy Steele, but less than a tenth off the Red Bull. As we have just heads now in the Alpine, putting themselves up to P3 above their teammate, a 1:29.9 on the medium tyres. That seems to be a pretty impressive lap time. What are medium tyres, of course? MCL reckon, are they coming into pit lane or doing a lap on the Inter tyres? We will find out shortly as they let the AlphaTauri through. The AlphaTauri is going into pit lane as I say that. And we have La Haas. No, it's not Thomas, it's Star. And they'll be looking to come into pit lane. They do have some ERS for another lap, but no, they are coming into pit lane. And people who are coming into pit lane now, I believe they're just preparing for their final lap, the final lap and chance to nail it really. Only was that 8 minutes in the session remaining. Yes, 8 minutes, so most people now opting to stay in the pit lane, probably until the end of the session, but we have La Haas of Tomos now starting their flying lap. What do they do? Take you through the lap. We have a kind of a hairpin through turn 1. You really need to take the inside line and get a good exit, no wheel spin on the exit, and they seem to have done quite nicely into Haas through the chicane of 1, 2, 3, and now down to 4 we have a 1 of 3 DRS straight, and this one is of course the shortest one, but anyway, down into turn 4, the chicane of turn 5, 6 and 7, it's very tricky, but they seem to have more or less nailed it. And now through sector 2 they go, setting the fastest lap time in sector 1. Could they keep it up? And this is the most difficult corner, maybe in the whole calendar, turn 10, but they seem to have nailed it and got a good exit as well. And now what will they do through sector 2? And we have a DRS straight to turn 11, and really riding that outside curb, maybe more than you would have wanted. That will lose you time, of course. And now setting the pace through sector 2, they seem to be flying, and could they be stopped? They're staying within track limits for turn 30 now, down to turn 14, not a DRS straight here, but they need a good exit. Have they found it? Yes they have, and now across the line it seems to be very good from the Haas, and on the up to P5 something went wrong in that last sector to only get them P5 or 130.4. Doesn't seem to be the best lap time from the Haas. And now Patty Boy, are they going in the pit lane? And interestingly, yes, they do set a 130.0 lap time, so not as competitive. But a lot of people haven't set the best lap times yet on soft tyres. So you do be expecting improvements all around as we head into the last 6 minutes of the session. And now we've got that AlphaTauri. Who is it? It's Bassard Jr. going on an out lap. Will it be their final one? But their teammate Morecambe now going across the line to start their flying lap. We've got Mies now currently on the flying lap, interestingly on the medium tyres. And are they going to complete that, or will they come into pit lane? Because ideally you do want to be setting a lap time now on those soft tyres. But as I say that, they're setting a pace of through sector 1, and it seems to be good from the Williams driver, and they seem to be finding a lot of grip, surprisingly, on medium tyres compared to the softs. So could that be the strategy for everyone else? As they don't get the best exit from turn 10, but easily salvageable. Through sector 2 they go now. They seem to be good, they seem to be clean through sector 2. Is it good enough? It will be a 107.8 to go fastest through sector 2. They seem to be unstoppable on those mediums. And could we see another medium lap time topping the session? Let's see, Mies now going through turn 14 and 15. They seem to have found grip on mediums, and what will it be for the Williams driver? And they go on to only P3 for the Williams. Seem to be good for the rest of the lap, but again, sector 3, I'm not quite sure what's happening there. But it is P3, and that is actually impressive on those medium tyres. But as I say, like Connor Otme tops that lap time with a 129.6 of his own. And Bassardini now into AlphaTauri. They seem to be improving by 0.2 through the first sector. And what do they do as they go around at turn 11, 12 and of course 13 now? and it is 6/10 up on their best lap time so far, so they seem to be finding a lot of extra time compared to their previous lap. And let's see what Bassar Jr. could do now, riding the curb for turn 14 as well as 15 now. And is that working for them? Yes it is, as they go up to P3, and we have the P1 to P3 only separated by, what is that, about 200ths of a second, which is absolutely crazy time to be putting it that close to everyone else. As now I do expect people to be going out on their final flying lap. MCL reckon they haven't set a competitive lap time yet, and now going out on soft tyres, what do they do in their Ferrari? And MCL reckon now, being one of the first to start their final flying lap, and let's see what they do. They're using all that ERS to power down the straight, and very nice through turn 1, taking the inside line, very ideal from the Ferrari driver. And could they keep this up through turn 4 now? It's interesting to see, will those mediums or softs dominate the session? A lot of drivers have said previously that the mediums are better around Bahrain than the soft tyres. They do of course warm up quicker because of the very high track conditions. And now we have the Alpine Mercedes followed by the Alfa Romeo, and Alpine, I believe that is, crossing turn 14 to mostly start their flying lap. And as a driver, sometimes you really need to have that one lap where it's going perfectly for you, and sometimes you have it as a driver, sometimes you don't. You always have to put in that lap time which is safe and, you know, probably guarantees you safety through into the next session, as MCL reckon now goes up to P5. Nice from a driver who also has not done any other real flying lap. And sometimes it is quantity of lap times to bring you the best result, and we have a train of cars forming through sector 3 now as they go into it. And is that Tomos? They're currently into danger zone, but setting the pace through sector 2. They're giving a few drivers quite a slipstream, and a slipstream is what you need in Bahrain with some very long straights. But Tomos now across the line, it seems to be good. Is it good enough? Yes it is, up to P1 for the Haas driver, and now who is that followed by? No other improvements, but Star now in the other Haas going up to P1 with a 129.2. It seems to be good, but it's sorely topped by just headers in the Alpine with a 129.1. The Mercedes only good enough for P7, but that seems to be an alright time, as we have the Ferrari now going slowly. Quell now up to P6, and they seem to be safe. MCL reckon, and MCL reckon seems to be out, going on a pretty slow lap after setting their flying lap time, and the Ferrari is out in P11, as well as Mies in the Williams, Morecambe into AlphaTauri, Ritz into McLaren, and Energy Beam into Alfa Romeo. It seems to me like Energy Beam just didn't have that chance to set a clean lap time, and that is probably what has got them out. And now into the most important session of qualifying. It's Q3. We've got 10 drivers in it. And we have just had a stop in the Q2 session with a 129.1. La Hassa's carrying good speed all throughout qualifying, and that carries on into Q2. And we have most people now on their out lap, not wasting any time in the qualifying session. But we have Tomo staying in the pit lane. Will that shortly change? We'll have to find out later, but we have the Mercedes of Sony Rolex once again being the first one to come out like they did in Q2 for their flying lap, and let's see what they could do in the Mercedes. They seem to have consistent pace around Bahrain, and could they pull out a good lap time? Let's see, as they're going to be the first one to start a flying lap, and that surely has to be a new set of soft tyres. And we have now the first ones to start their flying lap, and it's all about getting that banker lap in sometimes, and who knows, maybe that banker lap can carry you all the way through qualifying. Who knows? You have a lot of quantity of laps to, set that best lap time, and the best you can. Just really piecing sector 1, 2 and 3 together. It's of course hard at Bahrain since a lot of different corners, some are high speed, medium speed and low speed, especially the hairpins, which we have at turn 10, 4 and I guess you could say 1. And then of course you have the high speed corners, which the Mercedes is going through now and going well, as they set the fastest sector 2 time of anybody else so far. But behind we have the Alfa Romeo, and it looks like maybe that was the Williams having a moment. And Jesse is now disqualified from the session for going the wrong way. And that is the Williams of Jesse out in Q3. They will not be doing another lap time. It's only a 1:30.2 from the Mercedes. And just headed now, putting in the fastest lap time of the session like they did in Q2. They're carrying that pace through, but Dizzy still now across the line, and is that their flying lap, or they starting it now? They've got half of their ERS going into it, really minimizing their use of it onto the straight. And now Dizzy still, what could they do? We have Lalonde run down to turn 4 and really kissing that inside curb, and nice from the Red Bull driver, who seemed to have good pace on those mediums. And now setting the fastest first sector, and they seem to be flying, as well as only having half the ERS everyone else would. So let's see what Dizzy still could do now around turn 10. And they pick their line right, getting a good exit, and Alpine now getting out of the way. And now 4.8 seconds up on their best lap time, setting the fastest second sector. They seem to be good, but running out of ERS is a problem for the Red Bull driver. What could they do? Around turns 14 and 15 they go. Cuts in the outside curb to start the main straight nicely now, and it is up to P2 for the Red Bull driver. It's a provisional front row on the grid, and that seems to be a pretty nice lap time. Now everyone opting to go into pit lane. Some people now going out on their out lap, and who is that? It's Alfa Romeo of Paffy Boy. And now we have Taffy Boy going out on their flying lap. They seem to be wanting to find an improvement from that 1:30.0 lap time, which really does not look impressive at all. And now what do? They're setting the pace through Sector 1, going around the tricky chicane of 5, 6 and 7 berth. They seem to have nailed it, unlike other drivers have in the past. And now Taffy Boy. And through turn 10 they go now, really prioritizing the exit right in the outside curb. Not many drivers do that, but they have now. And what could they do as they go into turn 11, really sliding at Alfa Romeo, or was that just lag? I'm not quite too sure, but through sector 2 they go. It doesn't seem to be that fast, a 107.1, it's alright, but they'll be wanting to find some crucial tenths of improvement through sector 3. Now going around turn 14 and 15 nicely. Of course they will have another chance of a flying lap with ERS, but will they need it? No, not for now, as they go on provisional pole position with a 128.9. It's lovely from Taffy, and they are setting the first lap time in the 128. So really impressive stuff from Alfa Romeo to do that. And now as we tick down to 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the session, we have Star now. Are they on a flying lap? Yes they are. What do? In their half, they go on provisional pole position. We're seeing improvements all across the board, and they are the next one to grab that pole position slot for now with a 128.8. It's lovely from Lahas. And now Dizzy Steel being the next one to start the flying lap, and they nearly lose it through turn 1 already, and it does not seem to be good enough through sector 1, so they'll need to find improvements as they started their lap off quite horribly. And nope, they seem to have revived it. Was it a slag? But they are 1/10 up on their lap time, setting the fastest sector 1 time. And now what could they do as they go through sector 2 now? Here we go, upcoming the hairpin of turn 10. They seem to have navigated it quite well. And now we have more people starting their flying lap. We have Lahas of Tomos now. Star retiring from the session, and Bassard Jr. in the AlphaTauri also starting their flying lap. But someone who is ending theirs is Dizzy Steel, as Connor retires. I believe you saw them out from the track, I should say. And now Dizzy Steel down the main straight they go, powering their Red Bull down and up to P1. It's provisional pole position once again for Dizzy Steel, a 128.7. Lovely stuff from the Red Bull. And could that be topped by anyone else? It seems to be close to the Haas time. And we have both Alpines, Quell and Just Headers now, as Quell improves by over 5/10 through sector 2. They seem to be going along quite nicely. And what will it be through turn 14 and 15 now? You barely even recognize turn 15 as the corner, but it is. And up to P5 for the Alpine driver and their teammate, not and we have Dizzy Steel now still remaining in P1 and taking pole position to start the Bahrain race, as well as Star in Thomas, Star Bina Aswan starting on the front row. Interesting to see how strategies will line up. It's a mix between that 1 stop and 2 stop, so a lot of people will be tossing up about that one. Tire degradation is high around Bahrain, so let's see. And we have the race start. We have the Red Bull on hard tyres having a slow getaway, and that allows Star to go past already on the inside of the Red Bull into turn 1. We have the AlphaTauri being squeezed wide, and we have the Mercedes making a lunge down the inside of the Aston Martin. And what else do we have? As we have just headers. And we have Pappy Boy losing out as we have an AlphaTauri off at turn 2, and there seems to be carnage behind as a lot of drivers now going out on track. The Alfa Romeo of Pappy Boy now spinning it at turn 4. A lot of drivers have gone out now. And we have a whole set of cars being now a few good seconds behind the rest of the grid. But further ahead we have just headed back of the Red Bull now and looking to make a move past the Red Bull. Let's see what will happen as Just Headers is closing, but not good enough this time round. And now the Alpine on those medium tyres, what could they do as they make a run up on the Red Bull? They're going to have a good slipstream on the main straight. What could they do? Really pushing the Red Bull through turn 14, but now looking to make a move past. Have they got it? They're going to stick behind the Red Bull for now, but they're pulling out from behind of that Red Bull, and they have the inside for turn 1, and they're going to make a move to the inside and take P2 from the Red Bull driver. Behind we have F1 Rise and AlphaTauri fighting each other out, and Rise nearly tapping the rear tyre of Morecambe. And now we have, who is it off? It is Quell. No, it was Just Headers, their teammate, off at turn 4, and they have fallen to P5. And we have a lot of people coming into pit lane, no doubt to change their front wing, as there was a lot of carnage through turn 3 on the starting lap. And we have Thomas now being able to stick it behind the Red Bull, both on hard tyres of course. And we have Star ahead on mediums, being able to pull out a 3-second gap to everyone else. Curtis being the only one to start the race on soft tyres. as Tomo's now on the back of Dizzy still. Have they got the move done? They won't have DRS yet. They'll have to wait another lap for that. But behind the rest of them, we have Morecambe gaining on the Alpine, and they're going to make a lunge down the inside of the Alpine for turn 1, but they quickly back off that move. And now everyone will have DRS on the back of each other, and this might force an Alpine on the inside of the Haas. It was Quell on the inside of Tomo's, and they seem to have got knocked out in that collision, really, as they gone on the inside of Tomo's and not working for Quell on those hard tyres. And everyone goes nice and organised through turn 10. No moves been made so far. And we have the fight for P2 really evolving here as more people get in action, and Curtis on soft tyres. They're looking to make a move past Mies, who seems considerably behind Bubin in P8. And now Tomos will have some DRS to help them maybe make a move past Dizzy Steel, but we have behind Quell, and he does make a move down the inside of the Red Bull, who gives him space, and Quell trying to get in on action too, round the outside of the Haas. They now go and up to P3 for the Alpine, and it might even be better as they try a move again on the Red Bull down the inside. The Red Bull is gonna try and stick it round the outside, and it seems like they just managed to keep P2 as Pavy Boy now retires from the session at the exit of turn 3 was that. They have retired from the session, and that is Pavy Boy now out of the session. And their teammate Energy Beam not doing as well in P18. Seems like a poor outing for the Alfa Romeos in Bahrain in Tier 3. And now was that Jesse making a move past Shiny Rolex. And they have spun it at the X of turn 10. Shiny Rolex is off the track. And dropping to P14 and losing a lot of time in that. And now Dizzy Steel being attacked by Quell behind, and Quell, is they gonna make a move? No, he's gonna stick behind the Red Bull. But behind we have Thomas now wanting to retake that P4 that was lost, as we have the Red Bull of Dizzy Steel off into the gravel at the X of turn 3. What has happened there? As they seem to have lost it, dropping to P8 now for the Red Bull driver. And Dust Header really losing tyre grip at the X of turn 10 and really having a moment there. And now we have everyone seeming to be quite organised and settling down for the time being. And now we have the two Alpines fighting. Outsiders seeming to agree to stay behind their teammate, and for now we have Lahas making a move. Nope, they're gonna back out of that one quite smartly from Tomos, and Tomos sticking behind Zastheader now, and what could they do? Oh, and they kind of lose it at the exit of turn 8, losing themselves time. And now the Alpine is closer on this occasion, as I believe that was F1 Rise running wide through turn 13. Interesting what happened there. But for now we have Zastheader. Oh, and they kind of lose it at turn 15. Going a bit off track, but now will they make a move past? I think they'll have to. They're just faster on those medium tyres. And Quell is not going to fight that one. And we have the Alpine. Are they coming back at their teammate? No, they're not. They're gonna stick behind the tail. And of course the pit window around Bahrain follows people on medium tyres is about lap 10 to 14. Of course you want to have a longer stint on those hard tyres, and maybe you're looking to undercut. That would be the situation which is going on here. As I say that, we have yellow flags being shown in sector 1 and 2, but cleared up quickly. Of course, Bahrain is more of a DRS track, and that's why we're seeing a huge DRS train form here from P2 to now P7. And Dizzy still might join in on Zaxxon again after recovering their race, after going on to gravel at turn 3. So really more of a DRS train forming, and who this is good for is a start on those medium tyres. They're seeming to extend and extend their gap the more the people behind them fight, so they are absolutely loving life, having some clean air to just push ahead. Now about 5 seconds up the rest of the grid, but Quell coming back at their teammate now, and going up to P2 once again. And CT Dark now getting a 3-second time penalty. They are down in P11 as Mies now comes into pits on medium tyres, and they are putting soft tyres on, so that is committing themselves to a 2-stop strategy. Very interesting to see how strategies play out here, and Pappy Boy sat up, and we have everyone else seeming to have really no chance of getting past everyone else, as you really need to get a 1 second gap to everyone else from one DRS zone to another if you want to really leave everyone else behind and go chase after P1. But it does look like Quell is gaining on the back of Star now. Their advantage falls now to 4.4 seconds. And now we have yellow flags being shown, and that is for a McLaren of Ritz, which is off at turn 7, and it's not been the best race for them, that's for sure. Really a lot of people below that P7 spot will be hoping for safety cars to put things closer. We've had none yet, or even a VSC, but Morecambe now making a lunge down the inside of the Haas, who will give them space, but the Haas of Tomos getting a better exit now, and that leaves them to keep that P4 spot at least for now. Bobbin now on the back of F1 Rise. F1 Rise will try to fight it, but left defenseless now to Aston Martin, who moves ahead, but Rise trying to switch back and lose entire grip. and losing traction through turn 4, and now falling behind to P7. We've got the Williams and Mercedes going at each other, and the Williams are making a switchback on the Mercedes. No, they go into wall at the exit of turn 4, and Jesse is now out of the race, possibly as they've got a lack of a front wing now, and they will be having to come into box as they were caught up at turn 4, losing traction. And we have debris on track, but is it a safety car? I'm not quite too sure, but we have Aston Martin and McLaren still fighting each other out. We have probably everyone on medium size starting to think about coming into the pit. We've got yellow flags being shown, and that is for the Ferrari of Curtis, who is off. And now down to P17. I believe that was a bit of a tangle. And now the two Alpines have managed to get out the DRS zone of Morecambe, helping each other along. And now Catton Star, 3.9 seconds advantage is now, and it's falling. And this is a good time to analyse the position changes, as we have the Mercedes of Shiny Rolex out at turn 11. And they have spun themselves, and it's not a good race for them at all, as now they fall 30 seconds behind the P18. So that is very bad from the Mercedes. And now Jesse, I believe, serving a 5-second time penalty, was that, or just changing the front wing on the Williams car. And we can analyse the position changes now, as Rubin, the big gainer, up 13 places from P19 to P6 now, and Star up to P1, and the one that fell off the most could just be Shiny Rolex, down 11 positions, and Dizzy Steel as well, having that moment, pushing them down to P8, losing 7 positions from starting on pole position. As we have a lockup, who was that for? I believe it was for the Alpine of Quell. As we have the AlphaTauri really struggling for tyre grip, and Tomo's now 5/10 behind. And we have yellow flags now. Who is that for? It is for Shiny Rolex once again, as they lose it through turn 10. It's really not having a good race at all. And Star really now managing to keep that gap at 4 seconds to P2. And Shiny Rolex once again coming into the pit lane, and this time it is to retire from the race. And that is very unfortunate from the Mercedes driver, but we move on. And Quell, they're looking to make a move past their teammate, and their teammate knowing they're on hard tyres and really not fighting that one, as I believe that was Quell now braking early, and their teammate going into back of them, and they let Just header through now, as we have the Alpine being overtaken now by Morecambe in the AlphaTauri, and losing 2 positions in a matter of few corners for Quell. And now Star having a 4.8 second gap in P1. And now Morecambe on those medium tyres has made their move up to P2, past the two Alpines, and is now gaining on the back of Starley, gained 11 positions to move themselves from P13 to P2, so very nicely done from the AlphaTauri driver. And now we have this header going into pit lane now, so they will not fight that AlphaTauri and slowing down in time. And it is an Alpine stop, and they are one of the first to stop to get rid of those medium tyres for a, no surprise, new set of hard tyres. And they had to wait a bit because of Aston Martin, and that has definitely slowed them down. And they'll be hoping to make up that time on the outlap. Of course, it is a short pit lane here in Bahrain, relatively. And now we have Quell still on the back of Morecambe. Morecambe will be looking to pit in the near future to get rid of those now very old medium tyres. And Quell and Thomas behind on hard tyres. They seem to have a lot of grip as their tyres are probably coming into prime life. And now we have everyone else going around very nicely, and really no fighting on track for now, as we've got two drivers DNF'd so far. Could we get any more? We will find out later, as we have Bassard Jr. rejoining the track from the pit lane. Are they going to be ahead of Aston Martin? It looks like they are, so that's good for the AlphaTauri driver. A nice gap to push from. Dark now on the back of Aston Martin of Robin. What could they do? and it's really all just quieting down, but Conor Rotmay does try a move on Bassard Jr. at turn 8. It's an irregular place to overtake, but they have pulled it off. But AlphaTauri sticking closely to them. And could they make a move in the near future, as now Quell, the race leader, pits. And what will it be? Will it be softs or mediums? It's mediums for the Alpine. And where will they come out? This is crucial. They're going to definitely be behind the Haas, who seems to have lost a bit of time. As Dust Header puts in the fastest lap time on a hard set of tyres. Very impressive from the other Alpine driver. Morecambe now going out closely to Quell, but Quell has managed to stay ahead of the AlphaTauri. And Energy Beam now setting the fastest lap time. They're down in P14 and they've got some clean air to push ahead. And now we have Morecambe into AlphaTauri on the back of Quell, who is on those medium tyres, so they should have a performance advantage, but they're really not showing it now, as they might be imminent to an overtake from Morecambe. Down the main straight they go, and Morecambe will have DRS now. They're 5/10 within the Alpine. What could they do? Down the main straight they both go, reaching speeds of 200 miles per hour. They pull to the outside, inside to make the move. And the Alpine touching the back of Morecambe, and has that made Morecambe kind of spin out and lose a few tenths? I believe it might have just have well done, as Morecambe seemed to have broke quite early. And now we have Mies on the back of Dark. What can they do? And they move their Williams up to P11, and the Mercedes does try to fight it, but the Mercedes managing to stick it round the outside, and now the Williams of Mies going wide, and it looks like Dark has managed to hold on to P11 for now. As we have Quell now looking to make a move past Morecambe, who seems to be slow. And we've got yellow flags, and that is the Alfa Romeo of Energy Beam, who is off after setting the fastest lap time of the race. They're off and down to P16 now. As we have Dizzy Steel on the hard tyres boxing, and is that mediums or is it soft? It is medium tyres. So that is quite unfortunate that we don't see a real comeback from Dizzy Steel. As we have Morecambe now making a move past Quell. Quell does try to fight it, but squeezed out wide by Morecambe. Morecambe is a bit squirrely on the exit of turn 3, and now Quell has a DRS, and could they pull a move off? No, they can't, not for now. Some real lag on that AlphaTauri on my screen, so not quite too sure about that. Quell is already so close, and could he do what's called in the trait now a Fernando Alonso? No, he can't, as he just pulls off from turn 8. And now we have Morecambe ceding the place. But it's allowed to us to get DRS, so dirty plane from Morecambe. That's actually not allowed. Someone to tell them that. I have no idea if it's not even allowed. But anyway, Morecambe now going down the main straight. They're going to have DRS and trying to get past Quell. They'll both use some ERS, but Morecambe seems to have more, and diving down the inside. No, they're going to stick behind the Alpine of Quell. And I believe that might just be it for Morecambe, and they are going to fall into grasp of Aston Martin now. And now, slowly, they're out of the DRS range of the Alpine ahead. And now, they've got no one else to shield them, really, so... We've got Quell now setting the fastest first sector on the set of medium tyres. So they seem to be finding a lot of pace, as we have Thomas and Star making it a Haas 1-2 for now. And Thomas still on those 18 lap old hard tyres. They're seeming to extend until they can stop for some soft tyres. Will it be around now? Will they come into pits now? Let's see. It seems to be quite a good enough gap, and yes, they will come into pit lane now. And will it be soft tyres? Surely it will be soft. The last driver to make their first pit stop of the race, and how far will they fall behind, as it is soft tyres for the Haas driver. And now they're going to be behind the Alpine, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, and maybe even the McLaren and Red Bull. And that is going to put them into a lot of trouble as they come out behind Dizzy Steel, F1 Rise. So that is very unfortunate from Tomos. And they must not spend a lot of time behind them. As Morecambe now making a move past Quell, but Quell does try to fight it. And now Morecambe forcing the Alpine out wide, and the Alpine now falls to 1.5 seconds behind after Morecambe forced them wide after the chicane of turn 7. And the dirty plane from Morecambe again, but and Thomas now looking to make a move past F1 Rise, and F1 Rise does not fight that at all. Knowing Thomas has better pace, and of course them two being a dear friend, so of course F1 Rise not wanting to fight that one. Quite a nice romance between them two, but anyway, Thomas looks to get in the DRS zone of Dizzy Steel, and now they'll have DRS. They're looking to make a move past the Red Bull. How fast will they be on those soft tyres? Let's see. As we see Mies and Dark exchanging positions, but now who is it with DRS? It's Dark, and they will surely be making a move past the Williams in the near future. Yes, they will get it done, and you did not have to wait until the break-in zone to find out who has grabbed that P11 spot. Bassard Jr. now is being pressured by, I should say is pressuring Connor up there. And now Dizzy Steel has also got overtake lined up on the back of Bubbin, who is on some now pretty old hard tyres, and they will be left vulnerable. So let's see what the Red Bull could do on the Aston Martin. And behind all of this we have Thomas, who is solely wanting to get past this very quickly. using the remainder of their ERS to make a move past both of them maybe. They will definitely get a move past the Bahrain, and now maybe that Red Bull, as they've got a slipstream, and they will back off making that move. But the Red Bull really aggressive on the curb of turn 1. That leaves them open to an overtake from Tomos. Tomos now coming from behind, about 2/10 in this, into the braking zone. And it looks like the Red Bull will stay ahead for now, but going wide through turn 4, that leaves Tomos with a better exit, and they might just do a Fernando Alonso through turn 10. As we have Quell and Morecambe still fighting each other out for P3, the final podium spot, and this guy Tomos might soon join in that fight. And now Tomos making a lunge down inside of Oh, and they touch! And Tomos goes into the floor of Dizzy Steel, and they are left nearly spinning after that one. Dizzy Steel gave them no space and turned in onto the house, and what could Tomos do to expect that? But they might come back as the Red Bull through the main straight. As up ahead we have Morecambe being overtook by Quell, but looking to come back, and now they're playing it dirty. And of course, you already know what they're doing, but Energy Beam now retiring from the session at turn 3. And now Dizzy still really planting their Red Bull for defense. They're not letting them pass quite easily, but Quell down the inside of Morecambe as they nearly ban rear tires, spinning Morecambe out, but they avoid contact for now. And now we have Dizzy Steel also gaining time on this fight for P3, so really doesn't seem to be working out. But Star and Just Header, they seem to have a good lead up front, and there might just not be a fight for P1 at all this race. As who was that? Was it Morecambe letting through the Alpine dirty tactics from Morecambe to get DRS down the main straight? But they do get a bad exit from turn 14 and 15. And now Quell coming back as the AlphaTauri driver. Are they going to use that ERS to propel a move? They're going to go down the inside of Morecambe, and they ban rear wheels as they are left going straight into Morecambe, and Morecambe pushes Quell off once again, clearly making a statement there as Morecambe was forced out wide for turn 4, and now they have to see that turn 4 position as they run into back of Quell, and now we have a safety car. And this will slowly quiet things down, and if I was Star and Just Header, I would consider boxing for some soft tires. Let's see the advantages. You wouldn't lose any positions at all. So I would come into pits if I was them onto some new soft tires or maybe mediums. As MCL reckon retiring made that safety car go out. As Star and Just Header now go through the main straight now, and Star is going into the pit. What is Alpine gonna do? They're gonna follow the Haas into the pit lane. and everyone seems to now be on some new tyres, apart from Conor Rotmere and Bassard Jr., who are only coming into pits now, and how far behind will they fall? As the Mercedes and Williams speed up to get in front of both of them who come into pits, and now Bassard Jr. and Conor Rotmere fall to P11 and 12. The only drivers yet to stop and are currently on quite old tyres are Dark and Mies on 9-lap old medium tyres and 9-lap old hard tyres respectively. And it seems like the safety car is out for another lap, so we will only have about 2 laps remaining after the safety car re-enters the pit lane, as we have the only driver yet to stop on some new soft tyres is Mies in the Williams, currently running in P9. A lot of drivers will be looking to get past the Williams quite quickly. And now we will have the safety car restart as Star leads away the pack, but they haven't got the best exit, as now they will lead the pack away. As hot on the tail is the Alpine of Just Header, and going on the outside, being forced out wide is the Alpine, and could they make a move past? They're going to be forced out wide by the Alpine as they're knocked in the rear tyre by their teammate, nearly spinning them out and allowing Morecambe to go side by side with them, as the Red Bull now joins the party, and the Red Bull goes into wall with Quell, and the Red Bull clearly aiming to take out Quell there, and the Red Bull dirty driving from Dizzy Steel as they force Quell into wall at DNF in Quell. And now the Aston Martin on the tail of Morecambe. And now Morecambe now and Alpine fighting each other as Dizzy Steel now DNFs from Lessessen, but Just Header managed to stick it on the inside, or despite being forced, and now will give Morecambe space, but here comes Aston Martin down the inside of both of them for turn 4, but it looks like the Alpine has managed to stay ahead as Aston Martin and AlphaTauri run wide now through turn 5, and all the drivers now seem to have lost positions because of that, involved in that collision. And now Conor Rotmere, the next one to DNF from Lessessen at the exit of turn 10. And now it is the last lap, and Star comes across the line and takes the fastest lap point home with them as well. And they win round 3 for tier 3 in Bahrain, and that is a double podium for Haas, with Thomas finishing 3rd. And now joining on the podium is the Alpine driver of Just Headers, and that is the end of the race. Curtis doing an amazing job in the Ferrari, staying out of all that contact in the midfield pack, rising from P20 to P4, as well as Bubin from P19 to P5, and Morecambe, I guess you could say, from P13 to P6, but they did do that bit of dirty driving, so, you know, kind of discount that. But it looks like the top drivers, and that includes Quell, of course, Dizzy and Connor, and just found themselves in the centre of all the drama, and they couldn't stay out of it, and that would force them to basically DNF from Lessessen or have a very low finishing position, so of course unlucky for that. And that is the end of the stream, as we will end. But it's been an amazing stream so far, and it's been an amazing race, of course. Absolutely drama action, especially on the last lap, with the safety car being deployed, and I will see you next time. Until then, goodbye, and most importantly, have a very good night. Thank you for every... I mean, it's 24 of you watching the stream, so that's absolutely crazy to me. So, I mean, thank you for the support so much, honestly, truly. I could not thank you enough for this, and you know, it's what makes me continue doing this, and so absolutely lovely, and thank you so much. And I will see you next time, Monday for Tier 4.